6 months after first contact with Captain Tejo, the Galactic Coalition had become a different organization. Captain Hyun-woo stood in the High Command briefing room, surrounded by representatives from dozens of species. On the main display, star charts showed the dramatic changes that had reshaped the galaxy. "The Korth War is over," announced Fleet Admiral Veltar, her crystalline body reflecting the room's lights. Complete Korth surrender was accepted by the human fleet 3 days ago. Murmurs filled the room. The Korth hegemony had been the galaxy's most feared military power for over a century. They had conquered 40% of known space and seemed unstoppable. "How?" asked Representative Quindar from the Zephyrian Collective. "The Korth had thousands of ships, established supply lines, fortified positions across dozens of systems." Admiral Veltar activated new displays. According to human military reports, the final Korth fleet surrendered without firing a shot. The human commander, Admiral Park Dong-hyun, offered the Korth a choice: immediate surrender with full amnesty or complete annihilation of their species. The Korth chose surrender? Half of them did. The other half requested permission to join. The human fleet. Shocked silence filled the room. Captain Hyun-woo raised one of his forearms. "Admiral, permission to share my observations from continued contact with the humans." "Granted, Captain." Hyun-woo activated his personal display. "The humans didn't defeat the Korth through superior technology or numbers. They defeated them through psychological warfare." Images appeared showing human and Korth ships flying together in formation. The humans demonstrated that they were willing to die for principles the Korth couldn't understand. Protection of the weak, sacrifice for strangers, fighting without hope of personal gain. The Korth found this behavior so alien that their military doctrine collapsed. Science Officer Boram, now promoted to Coalition Xenobiology Chief, stood to address the assembly. "Fellow representatives, our 6-month study of humanity has revealed something that changes our understanding of galactic civilization. Humans are not just another spacefaring species. They are something entirely new." She activated detailed charts showing human expansion patterns. "In the past 6 months, human territory has increased by 300%. They've established colonies and systems we considered uninhabitable. They've built trading relationships with species we thought were impossible to contact. They've created military alliances with former enemies." "How?" Representative Zixtal asked. "They offer something no other species has ever offered," Boram explained. "Unconditional protection to anyone who asks for it." The display showed dozens of small civilizations now flying under human protection. The Karanti Mining Collective, the Velish Research Stations, the Krinti Agricultural Worlds, all of them have requested human protection. Not alliance, not trade agreements. Protection. What do the humans ask in return? Nothing. They ask for nothing in return. The room erupted in confused discussions. Every known civilization operated on exchange principles: resources for protection, technology for security, territory for alliance. Admiral Veltar called for order. Chief Boram explained this anomaly. "Admiral, humans operate on what they call moral principles. They believe that protecting innocent life is not a transaction but a responsibility. They will fight and die for species they've never met, expecting no payment or reward." Captain Hyun-woo added his own observations. "I've now spent considerable time aboard human vessels. Their entire social structure is built around this concept. Children are taught from birth that they have a duty to protect those who cannot protect themselves." "But the cost," Representative Quindar protested. "The resources, the lives lost, the energy expended. How do they justify this to their own people?" "They don't need to justify it," Hyun-woo replied. "Their people volunteer for these missions. We've observed human crews competing for the chance to undertake the most dangerous protection missions." The display showed human recruitment, centers where thousands of volunteers waited to join deep space protection fleets. "They consider it an honor to die protecting strangers," Boram added. "We've recorded human soldiers using their final words to apologize for not being able to save more lives." Medical Officer Yoon-ji, now the Coalition's chief expert on human psychology, presented her latest findings. Representatives, I must share a disturbing conclusion from our psychological analysis. Humans are not just willing to fight impossible odds, they prefer them. She showed combat recordings from human battles. When faced with easy victories, humans show routine stress responses. When faced with impossible challenges, their stress decreases and their performance improves. They are literally evolved to thrive in the most dangerous situations possible. And space is the most dangerous environment in the universe, Admiral Veltar realized. Exactly. Space doesn't make humans crazy. It makes them stronger. Every challenge they overcome increases their confidence. Every enemy they defeat proves to them that nothing is truly impossible. The display changed to show recent human activities. In the past month, humans have begun what they call deep exploration missions. Single ships carrying entire communities into uncharted space, beyond our sensor range, looking for new challenges. They're expanding beyond known space. Representative Zixtal asked. They're actively seeking unknown dangers, Yunji corrected. They view unexplored space as an opportunity to discover new problems they can solve, new people they can protect, new challenges they can overcome. Captain Hyunwoo shared the most recent intelligence. 3 days ago, we received a transmission from Captain Taeho. The Iron Will has made contact with something called the Davari Empire beyond the Galactic Rim. Apparently, the Davari have been conquering civilizations outside our sensor range for thousands of years. Are the humans requesting assistance? No. Captain Taeho was calling to inform us that the Davari have agreed to peace negotiations. He wanted to invite coalition representatives to the treaty signing. The humans defeated another empire? No, Hyunwoo said carefully. The humans convinced the Davari that conquest was less efficient than cooperation. They offered to help the Davari solve their resource problems through trade and technology sharing instead of military expansion. The room fell silent as the implications became clear. Boram activated one final display. Representatives, I must share the most significant discovery from our human studies. The screen showed human population projections. Based on current human expansion rates and reproduction patterns, humans will outnumber all other known species combined within 50 years. 50 years? Admiral Veltar's crystalline body flickered with alarm. But they won't conquer us, Boram continued. Our model suggests they'll protect us. Every human colony becomes a potential sanctuary for other species. Every human ship becomes a mobile rescue platform. Every human settlement becomes a safe haven for refugees. They're not building an empire, Yoonji realized. They're building a galactic protection service. Representative Quindar raised a trembling appendage. What does this mean for the rest of us? Captain Hyunwoo looked around the room at the assembled representatives of dozens of civilizations. It means we're all under human protection now, whether we asked for it or not. It means that if anyone threatens any of us, they'll have to go through humanity first. And if humanity becomes a threat. Based on our psychological analysis, Yoonji said quietly, humanity's greatest fear is becoming the thing they fight against. They would rather die than become conquerors. So we're safe? Representatives, Boram said solemnly. We're safer than any civilization in galactic history, and that terrifies me more than any threat we've ever faced. Admiral Veltar called for a vote. All in favor of formal alliance with the human species? Every appendage, tentacle, and limb in the room rose in agreement. Motion carried unanimously. May the universe help us all. As the representatives dispersed, Captain Hyunwoo received a message from Captain Taeho. The human was requesting permission to establish a permanent protection station in Coalition space. Just in case anyone needs help, the message read. We'll keep an eye on things. Hyunwoo approved the request and wondered if they had just invited their protectors or their successors into their home. In the depths of space, human ships continued their expansion into the unknown, carrying families, communities, and an unshakable belief that every problem had a solution and every life was worth protecting. The galaxy would never be the same. The transport beam activated on the bridge of the Harmony's edge. Blue light swirled and solidified into the shape of a human. Captain Hyunwoo and his crew got their first direct look at the species that had shaken their understanding of the universe. Captain Taeho stood exactly as tall as the scans had indicated. His skin was the pale pink color their sensors had detected, and he wore a simple dark blue uniform covered with small metal decorations. Most disturbing of all were his eyes, small, dark, and facing forward like a predator's. But what shocked the Coalition crew wasn't his appearance. It was his behavior. Taeho looked around the pristine Coalition bridge and smiled. The expression seemed friendly, but every Coalition species knew that showing teeth was a threat display. "Wow," Taeho said, his voice filled with genuine wonder. "This is beautiful. Your ship design is incredible, so clean and efficient." He walked toward Captain Hyunwoo with no apparent fear, extending one hand in what their cultural database identified as a greeting gesture. "Captain Hyunwoo, I'm honored to meet you. Thank you for the warm welcome." Hyunwoo carefully extended one of his forearms to touch the human's hand. The contact was brief but shocking. Taeho's skin was warm, soft, completely unprotected. "The honor is ours, Captain Taeho," Hyunwoo replied carefully. "Your ship and crew have been educational to observe." Taeho laughed, that same rhythmic sound of apparent joy they had heard from his ship. "I bet we seem pretty chaotic compared to your operation here. My crew tends to be a bit loud and energetic." Science Officer Boram stepped forward, her 8 legs clicking nervously. "Captain Taeho, if I may ask, how do you and your crew maintain psychological stability during extended space travel?" The human looked confused. "Psychological stability? I'm not sure I understand the question." "The void," Boram explained. "Deep space, the isolation, the emptiness, the distance from natural environments. How do you prevent madness?" Taeho's confusion deepened. "Madness? Why would space make us mad?" The Coalition bridge fell silent. No species had ever asked that question before. "Space is dangerous," Security Chief Yoonji said slowly. "The infinite emptiness destroys minds. It's a universal constant." "Huh," Taeho said, genuinely puzzled. "I guess that explains all the meditation equipment I saw on your scans. For us, space is, well, it's home." "Home?" Hyunwoo repeated. "Sure. I mean, Earth is nice to visit, but space is where we belong. The freedom, the adventure, the infinite possibilities. My crew loves it out here." Communications Officer Dong Min found his voice. "But the isolation..." "Isolation?" Taeho looked around at the Coalition crew. "Sir, I have 3,000 of my closest friends on my ship. My daughter Sujin is doing her homework in the education section. My wife Kyung-suk is probably in the garden talking to the vegetables. She swears they grow better when you chat with them. How is that isolated?" "You brought your family to war," Yoonji stated. Taeho's expression grew serious. "We didn't bring our families to war. We brought our families with us because they are us. Human crews aren't just soldiers, Captain. We're communities. We're homes that happen to have engines and weapons." He gestured toward the viewport showing his ship. "The Iron Will isn't a warship that carries people. It's a flying city that can fight when necessary." Boram consulted her scanner readings. "But the psychological stress of combat..." "Combat is stressful," Taeho agreed. "That's why we take care of each other. After a battle, we gather together, share food, tell stories, remember our fallen friends, and remind ourselves why we fight." "Why do you fight?" Hyunwoo asked. Taeho's eyes grew hard, the first truly threatening expression they had seen from him. "We fight because the Korth hegemony thinks they can conquer peaceful species and turn them into slaves. We fight because someone has to stand between predators and innocent people." "But you are predators," Yoonji said. "Yes," Taeho replied without hesitation. "We're very good predators. That's exactly why we fight other predators. It takes a monster to hunt monsters." The simple honesty of the statement was terrifying. "Captain Taeho," Boram said carefully, "our scans show that humans have no natural adaptations for space travel. How do you survive?" Taeho smiled again. "We survive because space doesn't scare us. We don't survive despite the danger. We thrive because of it. I don't understand. Look, Tejo said, walking to the viewport. Every other species I've met sees space as an enemy to be endured. Empty, hostile, lonely. We see space as an opportunity. He pointed to the stars. Every star system is a new home to build. Every asteroid is resources waiting to be used. Every challenge is a chance to become stronger. Every enemy is a problem we can solve. But the losses, Hyunwoo said. Your crew has suffered terrible casualties. Tejo's expression grew sad but determined. Yes, we've lost friends, family members, entire ships. Each loss hurts. Yet you continue. Captain, would you abandon your family because protecting them was dangerous? Of course not. The entire galaxy is our family now. Every peaceful species, every innocent civilization. We didn't choose to be the galaxy's guardians, but we're apparently the only ones crazy enough to do the job. Scanner operator Jimin spoke up. Our analysis suggests humans actually become psychologically stronger during extended space missions. Of course we do, Tejo said, as if it was obvious. Space is where we prove ourselves. It's where we discover what we're truly capable of. It's where we become more than we were. He looked around at the coalition crew. Don't you feel it? The call of the void? The excitement of the unknown? The joy of discovery? Every coalition officer stepped back instinctively. What Tejo described as joy sounded like madness to them. You don't feel it, Tejo realized. Space terrifies you. That's why you build these sterile ships with all the safety equipment. You're trying to hide from the universe. We're trying to survive it, Hyunwoo said. We're trying to conquer it, Tejo replied. And we're winning. He activated a small device on his uniform. Computer, show Captain Hyunwoo the strategic overview. A holographic display appeared showing star charts. Red areas marked Korth-controlled space. Green areas showed human territory. Blue showed neutral zones. When we started this war 2 years ago, the Korth controlled 40% of known space. Now they control 12% and shrinking. How? We don't just fight them, Captain. We outthink them, outbuild them, outbreed them, and outlast them. While they're trying to conquer territory, we're building mobile civilizations that can go anywhere and fight anyone. Tejo pointed to the green areas. Every human ship is a potential colony. Every human crew is a potential founding population. We don't just travel through space, we inhabit it. But the cost of freedom is eternal vigilance, Tejo said firmly. And humans are very good at paying costs that other species won't pay. He looked directly at each coalition officer. Captains, you seem like good people. Your technology is impressive. Your civilization appears peaceful and stable. But I have to ask, what do you do when someone threatens that peace? The question hung in the air. The coalition had always relied on negotiation, retreat, or appeals to the galactic community. You hide, Tejo said gently. You build better defenses, retreat to safer space, hope the threat goes away. It's worked for thousands of years, Hyunwoo said. Until now. The Korth don't negotiate. They don't respect boundaries. They don't go away. Tejo's voice grew grave. Captain, we didn't choose to be humanity's warriors. We were teachers, farmers, engineers, artists. But when the universe needed protectors, we became protectors. And if you lose? Tejo smiled, that terrifying predator smile. Captain, humans don't lose. We just haven't won yet. The simple confidence in his voice was more frightening than any weapon. Chief Medical Officer Yoonji had been studying the human biological scans for 6 hours straight. Her usually green skin had turned pale yellow with stress. What she was discovering challenged everything she knew about life in the universe. Captain, Hyunwoo, she called urgently. You need to see this immediately. The captain hurried to the medical bay where Yoonji had set up multiple analysis screens. Charts, graphs, and biological data covered every display. Sir, I've run complete biological analyses on the human scans. The results are... She paused, her voice shaking. The results are terrifying. Show me. Yoonji activated the main display. A three-dimensional model of a human body appeared, rotating slowly. "Look at this, Captain. This is what humans look like under our scanners." Hyun Woo studied the model. The creature was tall and thin, with 4 limbs arranged in a basic pattern. It had no natural armor, no built-in life support systems, no environmental adaptation features. "Where is their radiation shielding?" he asked. "They don't have any," Yoonji replied. "No natural protection against cosmic radiation, solar flares, or void exposure. Their atmospheric recycling organs? They don't exist. Humans breathe oxygen directly from their environment. If their ship's air system fails, they die within minutes." Hyunwoo felt his skin turning cold blue. "How do they survive space travel?" "That's what I've been trying to understand." "Sir, humans are essentially naked mammals flying through space in a metal box. They have no backup biological systems, no redundant organs, no evolutionary adaptations for space travel." Yoonji switched to another display showing comparative anatomy. "Look at this comparison. Here's a Kuranti space traveler." The display showed a being with thick natural armor, multiple breathing systems, and built-in radiation protection. "Here's a Zephyrian void walker. This creature had natural magnetic field generators and internal atmosphere recycling. And here's a human." The model showed the soft, unprotected human form. "They shouldn't be able to survive 5 minutes in space," Hyunwoo said. "That's not even the worst part," Yoonji continued. "I accessed their medical records from the ship's computer. Captain, these humans are at war." "We knew that." "No, sir. You don't understand. They're not just fighting the Korth. They're fighting multiple enemy species across dozens of star systems. Their records show battle after battle, loss after loss." Yoonji pulled up the human military records. Battle reports, casualty lists, and strategic analyses filled the screens. The Iron Will alone has fought in 47 major battles. They've lost sister ships, they've seen entire human colonies destroyed. They've watched friends die in combat. The captain studied the reports. The humans had suffered terrible losses. Thousands of deaths, dozens of destroyed vessels, entire planets burned by their enemies. "Sir, any other species would have surrendered after the first major defeat. The psychological trauma alone should have broken them completely. But they haven't surrendered. Captain, they're not even sad." Yoonji's voice carried disbelief. "I analyzed their psychological profiles during these battles. After each loss, after each tragedy, their determination increases. They become more focused, more united, more dangerous." She showed him bio readings from human crew members during battle situations. "Look at these stress responses. Instead of fear and panic, they show excitement and determination. They actually perform better under extreme pressure." "That's impossible." "Sir, I have recordings of human communication during their last major battle." Yoonji activated an audio file. Human voices filled the medical bay. Even through the translation system, the emotion was clear. "Eagle Squadron, we have multiple bogies incoming. Looks like the whole Korth fleet." "Copy that, Eagle Leader. All wings, let's show these guys why they shouldn't mess with Earth's children. Remember, people, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for every peaceful species in this galaxy. Let's bring our friends home safely. Earth is counting on us." The voices were calm, determined, even cheerful as they flew into deadly combat. "They're talking about protecting others," Hyunwoo said in amazement. "During battle, they're thinking about protecting species they've never met." "It gets worse, Captain. I found their personnel files. Every human on that ship has lost someone to this war. Friends, family members, fellow soldiers. Yet their morale ratings are at maximum levels." Yoonji switched to another display showing human psychological profiles. This human, Corporal Jin Woo, lost his brother in the Battle of Proxima. His response was to volunteer for the most dangerous missions. This one, Engineer Haijin, lost her husband to a Korth raid. She designed new weapons to better fight the enemy. This pilot, Lieutenant Young Soo, watched his entire squadron get destroyed. He trained new pilots and refused medical leave. They turned grief into strength, Hyunwoo realized. "Captain, I ran behavioral predictions based on their species profile. According to every psychological model we have, humans should have gone extinct within their first generation of space travel. Yet here they are. Sir, there's something else. I analyzed their ship's computer records more deeply. The humans aren't just fighting one war. They're fighting multiple wars against different enemy species while simultaneously exploring new systems, establishing colonies, and conducting trade with peaceful civilizations. Hyunji showed him star charts marked with human activities. They're expanding in every direction. Fighting wars, making allies, building settlements, conducting research. It's like they're playing some massive game across the entire galaxy. Game? Captain, I found their entertainment records. Humans have stories, games, and competitions that simulate warfare, exploration, and conflict. They practice violence for fun. They create imaginary scenarios where they face impossible odds and overcome them through determination and teamwork. The display showed human entertainment media. Movies about space battles, games about conquering galaxies, stories about heroes facing overwhelming enemies. They train for war by pretending it's entertainment. Then they go to real war and treat it like their entertainment. Hyunwoo sat down heavily. Unji, what are we dealing with? Sir, I believe we have encountered an apex predator species that has adapted the most hostile environment in the universe, space itself, as their natural hunting ground. Predators? Look at their eyes, Captain. Yunji highlighted the human. Facial structure, forward-facing eyes, binocular vision. Classic predator adaptation. Their teeth show omnivorous capability with emphasis on meat consumption. Their muscle structure is designed for pursuit and conflict. But they shared food with us, they want to be friends. Sir, pack hunters often form social bonds with other predators when they're not competing for resources. Humans may see us as potential pack allies rather than prey. Yunji pulled up one final display. Captain, I found references in their computer to something called the main fleet. The Iron Will is just one ship in what humans call an expeditionary force. Their records reference much larger human military formations. How much larger, sir? The humans have been in space for less than 200 years. In that time, they've spread across hundreds of star systems. The Iron Will represents a tiny fraction of human space capability. Hyunwoo felt his heart stop. How many humans are out here? Based on their colonial records and fleet compositions, millions, sir. Possibly tens of millions. And they're all like this crew. Families, warriors, explorers, all combined into mobile communities that treat space as their home. The captain activated his communication system to contact Coalition High Command again. High Command, this is Captain Hyunwoo. Priority Alpha Alert. We have not discovered a new species. We have discovered a galactic apex predator that has been quietly expanding across known space for 2 centuries. As he waited for a response, Yunji showed him one more scan result. Sir, the humans are still sending us gifts. Captain Taeho just transmitted recipes for 30 different foods they'd like to share with us. Apex predators who wanted to share recipes. Warriors who brought children to war. Killers who grieved for enemies they'd never met. Hyunwoo realized they were about to meet something that defied every rule of civilization in the universe. Science Officer Boram had spent the last 3 hours analyzing the human scan data. Her 8 legs clicked nervously against the floor as she worked. The results made no scientific sense. Captain Hyunwoo, she called from her research station. I need to show you something. The captain approached, his blue skin showing stress patterns. The discovery of the humans had shaken the entire crew. What have you found, Boram? Sir, I've run the human biosignatures through every database we have. I've compared them to all known spacefaring species. The results are troubling. Boram activated her display screen. Charts and graphs filled the view. Look at these. Psychological readings. Every known species shows severe mental degradation after 3 weeks in deep space. Depression, anxiety, paranoia, and eventually complete madness. It's why we developed meditation pods and neural dampening technology. She pointed to a red line on the graph. This shows the mental breakdown timeline for our species. Here's the breakdown for the Zephyrians, the Karanti, the Veiltar. All follow the same pattern. Hyunwoo studied the charts. And the humans? Boram highlighted a new line in green. The humans have been in space for 8 months. Their psychological, Reading should be completely flat by now. Dead minds, but look at this. The green line showed stable, healthy mental activity. In fact, it showed something impossible. Their psychological health is improving, Boram said in amazement. The longer they stay in space, the stronger their mental state becomes. Security Chief Yoonji joined them at the display. That's impossible. The void drives everyone insane. It's a universal constant. Not for humans, Boram replied. I've isolated individual bio-readings from their ship. Let me show you something even more disturbing. The screen changed to show different sections of the human vessel. This group here is engaged in competitive games. They're playing with small, spherical objects, trying to get them into containers. They're keeping score, cheering for each other, and having fun. Fun, Yoonji repeated, while surrounded by the infinite emptiness that destroys minds. This group is creating art, Boram continued. Paintings, sculptures, written stories. They're being creative in the void. The display showed humans working, with colors and shapes making beautiful things for no practical purpose. And this group? Boram paused. This group is teaching their children mathematics and history. The young humans are learning, laughing, growing smarter while flying. Through space, Hyunwoo felt his four hearts beating faster. Boram, run a comparison analysis. How do their psychological readings compare to humans living on a planet? Boram worked quickly, comparing to human planetary colonies. Her voice trailed off as the results appeared. Sir, the humans on this warship are psychologically healthier than the humans living safely on planets. The bridge fell silent. Scanner operator Jimin looked up from her station. Captain, I'm picking up more activity from their ship. They're having some kind of celebration in their main gathering area. Celebration? Hyunwoo asked. Yes, sir. It appears to be a birthday party for one of their children. They're singing, sharing food, and giving gifts. On the scanner display, they could see dozens of humans gathered around a small human. The child was laughing while the adults sang and danced. They're celebrating life, Boram whispered. In the middle of the void, during a war, while hunting enemies across the galaxy, Communications Officer Dongmin received a new transmission. Captain, the humans are sending us something. It appears to be music. Music? Yes, sir. They say they want to share some of their favorite songs with us, as a friendship gesture. The music filled the bridge, strange rhythms and melodies that somehow expressed joy, hope, and determination. The coalition crew listened in amazement as human voices sang about love, adventure, and facing challenges together. Sir, Jimin said during the music, I'm detecting something else. The humans are rotating their duties. The ones who were farming are now working on weapons. The ones who were fighting are now teaching children. The ones who were cooking are now repairing their ship. They all do everything, Yoonji realized. Warriors, farmers, teachers, entertainers, engineers. Every human can perform every function. Boram pulled up more data. Captain, I've analyzed their sleep patterns. Even their rest is wrong. They sleep in small groups, often with family members nearby. They don't use isolation chambers or consciousness dampening. They actually sleep better when surrounded by other humans. Pack bonding, Hyunwoo said slowly. They form social groups that make them stronger, not weaker. Sir, Dongmin interrupted. Captain Taeho is requesting permission to send over some of their food as a gift. He says they just finished making something called pizza and they'd like to share it. Food. They wanted to share food with strangers while on a military mission in hostile space. Accept the gift, Hyunwoo decided, but use full contamination protocols. Within minutes, a small transport pod docked with their ship. The coalition crew watched nervously as the airlock opened. Instead of a sterile package, the humans had sent over a large, flat disc covered in melted cheese, vegetables, and meat. It smelled wonderful. A note was attached. From the crew of the Iron Will. Hope you enjoy this as much as we do. Looking forward to meeting you in person. The pizza team. They had organized themselves into a team just to make food for strangers. Boram scanned the food carefully. No toxins, no diseases. It's actually quite nutritious. And sir, It's still warm. They baked this. Fresh and sent it over immediately. They cooked for us, Yunji said in wonder. Complete strangers who might be enemies, and they cooked fresh food for us. The crew stared at the pizza. None of them had ever encountered such behavior. Sir, Jimin reported, I'm receiving another transmission from Captain Taeho. Put it through. Taeho's voice filled the bridge, warm and friendly. Hope you folks like the pizza. Our cook Minho takes pride in his recipes. He's already asking if you'd like to try his kimchi next. Fair warning, though, it's pretty spicy for most people. Kimchi. They had a library of different foods they wanted to share. Captain Taeho, Hyunwoo replied carefully, your generosity is unexpected. Most military vessels maintain strict protocols during first contact situations. A sound that could only be laughter came through the speakers. Captain Hyunwoo, we've been fighting the Korth for 2 years. They shoot first and never ask questions. Meeting someone who wants to talk is the best thing that's happened to us in months. My crew is practically bouncing off the walls with excitement. Bouncing off the walls, with excitement. During a war. Besides, Taeho continued, our mission is to protect peaceful civilizations from the Korth. You folks seem pretty peaceful to me. That makes you exactly the kind of people we're out here fighting for. Fighting for. They weren't fighting for territory or resources. They were fighting to protect strangers they had never met. Sir, Boram whispered to the captain, I need to run more tests. These humans are displaying behavior patterns that shouldn't exist in any known species. As if hearing her, Taeho's voice came through again. Oh, and Captain, my daughter Sujin wanted me to ask if your crew has any children. She's working on a school project about different species and would love to learn about your people. She's 8 years old and absolutely fascinated by space travel. An 8-year-old human child was doing school projects while flying through the void on a warship. Hyunwoo looked at his crew. Their stress colors were shifting to something he had never seen before. Not fear, but complete bewilderment. They were trying to understand a species that turned warships into homes, brought families to battles, shared food with strangers, and somehow grew stronger the longer they stayed in the environment that destroyed every other known form of life. Boram, the captain said quietly, continue your analysis. I need to understand what we're dealing with before we meet them face to face. But deep down, Hyunwoo was beginning to suspect that no amount of analysis would prepare them for actually meeting humans in person. Scanner operator Ji-min's tentacles trembled as data flooded her screens. The deep scan of the human vessel was revealing things that made no sense. She blinked her large eyes and checked the readings again, but the results remained the same. Captain, she called, her voice shaky. You need to see this. Hyunwoo hurried to her station. The other bridge officers gathered around as Ji-min displayed the scan results on the main screen. Sir, the internal structure of this ship is wrong. Completely wrong. The screen showed a cross-section view of the human vessel. Instead of the clean, efficient layouts found on all proper starships, the iron will looked like a maze. Corridors, twisted and turned in seemingly random directions. Rooms were packed together with no apparent logical design. Look at this, Ji-min pointed with one tentacle. These areas here are filled with the life forms we detected, but they're not in stasis. Pods or meditation chambers, they're just moving around freely. Science Officer Boram studied the readings. That's impossible. No species can remain active during long-term void travel. The psychological strain would kill them within weeks. But the scans showed something even more disturbing. The humans weren't just active. They seemed to be busy with various tasks throughout their ship. What are they doing? Asked Security Chief Unji. Ji-min adjusted the scanner to focus on different sections. In this area, they appear to be engaged in physical, combat exercises, hand-to-hand fighting, weapons training, but sir, they're doing it for fun. Fun. Hyunwoo's forearms spread in confusion. How can you tell? Their bio readings show excitement, pleasure responses. They're enjoying the violence. The scanner moved to another section. Here, dozens of humans tended to growing plants under artificial lights. They're farming, Boram said in amazement. On a warship. They're growing actual living food instead of using proper nutrition synthesizers. It gets worse, Jimin continued. Her tentacles danced over the controls, revealing more sections. Look at this area. The screen showed a large open space filled with humans sitting in groups. They held containers that they raised to their mouths repeatedly. What are they consuming? Asked Yunji. Jimin checked the bioscanners. It appears to be a liquid that contains ethyl alcohol, a poison. They're deliberately poisoning themselves. But their vital signs? Boram leaned closer. They're not dying. They're laughing. The universal translator picked up sound from that section. Loud noises, rhythmic patterns, and what could only be described as expressions of joy. They're singing, whispered communications officer Dongmin. While poisoning themselves, while flying through the void, while on a military mission. Hyunwoo felt his skin turn pale blue with shock. Show me more. Jimin moved the scanner to different areas. Each new section revealed more impossible things. Humans gathered in small groups, sharing food and making social bonds. Others practiced making music with primitive instruments. Some read physical books made of actual paper. Captain, Jimin's voice was barely a whisper. There are small humans aboard that ship. Small humans? They're young, sir. Children. I count 47 juvenile humans living on that warship. The bridge fell completely silent. Every coalition species knew that bringing young on space missions was the fastest way to ensure the extinction of your crew. The void drove children mad faster than adults, but the scanner showed human children running through corridors, playing games, learning from adult humans. They seemed happy. This is impossible, Boram said. Our own species require isolation chambers, neural dampening, and consciousness cycling just to survive a month in space. These humans have been out here for 8 months with their children, and they're having parties. Yunji studied the weapons readings. Captain, their armaments are also wrong. Instead of energy weapons and smart systems, they use primitive projectile weapons and explosives. But they have so many of them. The scanner showed weapon storage areas packed with missiles, bullets, and bombs. Humans were constantly maintaining and improving these weapons, but they worked on them in groups, talking and laughing while they prepared for war. Sir, Jimin said, I'm detecting something else. They have areas dedicated to entertainment, places where they gather just to watch recorded images on screens. They call them movies. Movies? Moving pictures that tell stories. They sit together in large groups and watch them, for fun, while traveling through deadly space. Hyunwoo sat down heavily. In his 40 years of space service, he had never encountered anything like this. These humans seemed to treat the most dangerous environment in the universe like their natural home. Keep scanning, he ordered. I need to understand how they survive this. Jimin continued the deep scan. The results became more disturbing with each section. The humans had created spaces for exercise, not the careful physical maintenance required for space travel, but vigorous, violent activities they seemed to enjoy. They had areas for cooking, food together, sharing meals as groups. They had even built spaces for quiet reflection and study. Captain, Boram said slowly, they've turned their warship into a city. A flying city full of warriors who bring their families to war, added Yunji. But the most shocking discovery was yet to come. Jimin found records in the human computer systems, basic digital storage that their translation systems could access. Sir, I'm reading their ship logs. These humans, they've been fighting something called the Korth Hegemony for over 2 years. They've participated in 47 battles. They've lost ships, lost crew members, lost entire colonies to this enemy. And they're still functional? Hyunwoo asked. More than functional, sir. According to their records, they're winning. They've destroyed over 300 enemy vessels and liberated dozens of captured worlds. The bridge crew stared at the readings in horror. These humans had turned warfare into a social activity. They brought their families along, grew their own food, entertained themselves, and somehow maintained the psychological stability to win battles across the galaxy. There's more, Captain, Jimin continued. Their military structure is completely decentralized. Every human on this ship can fight. The ones growing food, the ones caring for children, The ones making music, they're all trained warriors. How many actual military personnel? Asked Yunji. All of them, sir. 3,000 warriors who happen to also be farmers, teachers, parents, and entertainers. Yunwu activated the ship's communication system to contact Coalition High Command. This discovery was too important to handle alone. High Command, this is Captain Hyunwoo. We have encountered a species that defies all known parameters for spacefaring life. Request immediate consultation with the Xenobiology Council. While they waited for a response, the crew continued to study the scan results. Each new detail made the humans seem more impossible. They had no artificial gravity systems, yet they moved normally. They had no atmospheric recycling that made sense, yet they breathed freely. They had no proper radiation shielding, yet they showed no signs of void sickness. Captain, Jimin said quietly, I don't think these humans are surviving in space despite the dangers. I think they're thriving because of them. Before Hyunwoo could respond, their communication system activated. Captain Taeho's voice filled the bridge. Captain Hyunwoo, we're ready for that meeting if you are. Fair warning, though, some of my crew are pretty excited to meet new people. They don't get many chances to make friends out here. Friends. These creatures wanted to make friends while flying through the void in a ship full of weapons and families. Hyunwoo looked at his terrified crew and realized they were about to meet something that would change everything they thought they knew about life in the universe. Captain Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of the Galactic Coalition vessel Harmony's Edge. His blue skin glowed softly under the ship's lights. 4 arms moved across different control panels, while his large black eyes scanned the space ahead. Today was supposed to be a simple patrol mission along the Outer Rim territories. Captain, called scanner operator Jimin from her station. Her tentacles danced over the scanning equipment. I'm picking up something unusual. Hyunwoo walked over to Jimin's station. On the screen, a small dot blinked in the darkness of space. What are we looking at? Unknown vessel, sir. It's drifting about 2,000 kilometers ahead. The design doesn't match anything in our database. Jimin's voice carried confusion. It looks primitive. The captain studied the readings. In his 40 years of space service, he had seen ships from over 200 different species. Each one was elegant, efficient, built with the wisdom of advanced civilizations. This thing on the screen looked wrong. Bring us closer. Full scan protocols, Hyunwoo ordered. The Harmony's Edge moved forward silently. As they got nearer, the unknown ship became visible on the main screen. The entire bridge crew stopped their work to stare. By the void, whispered Navigation Officer Boram. What is that thing? The ship looked like someone had taken metal plates and hammered them together. It was massive, easily 3 times the size of their coalition vessel. Thick armor covered every surface. Strange angular shapes stuck out from all sides. Instead of the smooth, flowing lines that marked proper ship design, this vessel was all sharp edges and heavy blocks. It looks like a fortress, said Security Chief Yunji. Why would anyone build a fortress in space? Jimin worked frantically at her scanner controls. Captain, I'm reading incredible energy signatures from that ship. The power systems are chaotic. Multiple reactors, backup systems. For the backup systems, it's like they expected everything to break. Any signs of life? Hyunwoo asked. Yes, sir. Many life signs. The readings are strange, though. Very active biosignatures, but they don't match any known species pattern. The captain made his decision. Open communication channels. Use standard first contact protocols. A young communications officer named Dongmin started broadcasting. He sent the universal greeting in over 50 languages, mathematical sequences, and peaceful intention signals. For long minutes, there was only silence. Then their speakers crackled to life. This is Captain Taeho of the Terran Defense Force vessel Iron Will. The voice was rough, tired but strong. We are damaged but operational. Who are you? The bridge crew looked at each other. None of them had heard the word Terran before. Unknown vessel. This is Captain Hyunwoo of the Galactic Coalition ship, Harmony's Edge. We mean no harm. Do you require assistance? A long pause, then, Coalition? Never heard of you. Where are we exactly? Boram quickly checked her navigation systems. Captain, we're in Sector 7 of the Rim territories. How can they not know where they are? Hyunwoo activated the communication again. You are in Galactic Coalition Space Sector 7. May I ask where you come from? Earth. Sol system, though. That's probably about 8 months behind us now. The voice called Taeho sounded matter-of-fact about this. We've been hunting Korth raiders across half the galaxy. 8 months. The Coalition crew exchanged worried looks. No known species could survive that long in deep space without going insane. The void between stars drove even the strongest minds to madness after a few weeks. Sir, Jimin whispered to the captain, their ship design makes no sense for long-term space travel. There's no meditation chambers, no consciousness cycling equipment, no neural dampening fields. How are they still sane? Hyunwoo wondered the Maya. Same thing. Captain Taeho, our scanners show your vessel has been in space for an extended period. How is your crew managing the psychological effects of void exposure? Another pause. Then something that sounded almost like laughter. Psychological effects? Sir, I think there might be some translation errors here. My crew is doing fine. We're actually having movie night in Cargo Bay 3 tonight. The Coalition bridge fell silent. Movie night? In space? During a military campaign? Captain, Yoonji said quietly, I recommend we request permission to board their vessel. We need to understand what we're dealing with. But Hyunwoo was studying the scanner readings more carefully. The ship wasn't just big, it was packed with life signs, thousands of them. Jimin, how many beings are on that ship? Scanning now, sir. Her tentacles moved rapidly. I'm reading approximately 3,000 life forms, all apparently the same species. 3,000 on one ship for 8 months without proper void protection equipment. Captain Taeho, Hyunwoo said carefully, our readings suggest you have a very large crew aboard your vessel. That's right. Full battle group. Marines, pilots, engineers, medical staff, even some families of our long-term crew. We're a deep space expeditionary force. Families. They had brought their young into the deadly void of space. Sir, communications. Officer Dongmin said, I'm picking up multiple energy signatures from their ship, not just power systems. They have active manufacturing facilities, food production areas, and, sir, they're broadcasting entertainment signals internally. Entertainment. During a military campaign. In the emptiness between stars. Hyunwoo felt a chill run through his blue skin. These Terrans were either the most advanced species he had ever encountered with technology so sophisticated it seemed primitive, or they were something else entirely, something that didn't follow the rules that governed every other known form of life. Captain Taeho, would you be willing to meet in person? We could arrange a neutral meeting space or transport protocols. Sure thing, Captain Hyunwoo. Always happy to meet new folks. Fair warning, though, we're on high alert. Been chasing some nasty customers called the Korth. They don't like to talk much, prefer shooting. You folks aren't with them, are you? We have no knowledge of this Korth species, Hyunwoo replied. We come in peace. Good enough for me. Give us an hour to clean up a bit. Some of our boys just finished combat training and the deck's a mess. Combat training. They were practicing fighting while drifting in space. As the communication ended, Hyunwoo looked around his bridge. Every member of his crew showed signs of stress. Their skin colors had shifted to worried hues, their breathing was rapid, and their natural defensive postures were activated. They were afraid, not of weapons or threats, but of something much worse. They were afraid of the impossible. Jimin, the captain said slowly, run a deep scan of that vessel. I want to know everything. How they live, what they eat, how they organize themselves. Everything. Yes, sir. Beginning deep scan now. As the scanner beams reached out toward the human ship, none of the Coalition crew knew they were about to discover something that would change their understanding of life in the universe forever. The readings that came back would haunt their dreams for years to come.